Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump is in the midst of learning a political lesson that you would think he, above anyone else, would know, right? The lesson is that people really care about gas prices. Have you heard that one? Oil, natural gas, gasoline are the most important commodities in the world. They are what modern civilization runs on. I think that's about to change because of how cheap and incredibly clean energy has gotten. But right now, you quite simply cannot run your society without fossil fuels. There's no other option. When the prices go up, people get pretty upset about it. And right now, prices are, as you may have noticed, way, way up because Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu started a pointless war in Iran, a war that killed 6,000 people, injured countless others, displaced a million more, has caused untold human misery and upended the lives of many, many people. It has also, as you might have heard, happened to disrupt the global supply chain for the world's most important commodity, the thing modern civilization runs on. A disruption that continues day after day after day to this very day, even with a seemingly indefinite ceasefire. Because as soon as the U.S. started bombing, Iran started to control the Strait of Hormuz, something that was not the case before this war, something that was long in this country. And they're pretty mad at Donald Trump for starting this war. Take a look at this chart. We were sort of marveling over this one today. A lot of charts don't read on TV, but I think this one gives you the point. So that's from pollster G. Elliott Morris, who tracks Trump's approval on a bunch of different issues. And you can see there's a bunch of issues. They all go in the same direction. They all go down. But the one that's the lowest, the one all the way at the bottom of your TV screen, the green line, that is Donald Trump's approval on inflation and the cost of living. Of course, that includes gas prices. Because not only is gas a major expenditure for nearly every American, rising diesel costs in particular also make everything else more expensive. That doesn't even include the sort of inputs you get when you start getting to fertilizer and chemical products. And as you can see, Trump is just almost incomprehensibly unpopular when it comes to prices. Literally off the chart. He is so underwater, in fact, that he is off the chart. In fact, that chart doesn't go low enough to show his massive minus 40 approval on the issue. According to one analysis, this is an amazing historical tidbit to give you a sort of sense of comparison. Donald Trump is currently less popular on inflation than that man on your screen, Jimmy Carter. Carter, the guy who oversaw stagflation, the guy who was president during the '79 energy crisis, the guy with the sweaters and the malaise speech. I mean, just ask any voter at the gas pump.
It's bad, you know. People got to live, people got to eat, you know what I'm saying? And believe it or not, transportation is very, very important. And, you know, you have to choose whether you drive or eat, you know? So, I mean, gas prices are crazy.
I mean, that was the whole thing that Trump promised everyone that people voted for, is they lower gas prices, and here we are. So,
yeah, lower prices on everything is what he said. Groceries, gas, everything. I feel like everything is just more expensive.
So now Trump is stuck. His shifting posture with Iran, I mean, we can hardly keep track of it. That's our job, is to keep track of it, and you almost can't. And that sort of merry-go-round he's been doing, negotiations, obliteration, that's made any kind of deal to reopen the strait exceedingly difficult. We're not currently negotiating, as far as anyone knows. And none of this is winning over the American public, as you saw from the chart. So basically, what they're left with is a strategy to just lie.
The fact of the matter is that all of the cylinders are kicking. It is good news. You can even feel in our environment how good things are getting. Gas prices continue to come down, which means that your groceries will come down a little bit as well.
Okay, two things. First of all, I love the fact that they're showing the crypto stocks while he's talking, like, yes, wow, a crypto rally. Second of all, did you catch what he said? Gas prices continue to come down. Senator Tim Scott, that is simply not true. And you don't need to go do a bunch of research to come to that conclusion. It's plainly a lie in the most obvious, sort of inexplicably condescending way. Nationally, the average price of gas, that's something we tabulate closely, it's $4.30 a gallon. Honestly, it might be even higher as of tonight, according to the live tracking data, because it's been going up by the hour. Even the conservative number is up 30 cents from a week ago, up by well over $1 since the war started. Again, that's just the average. Believe me, out west, they would be happy to pay $4.30 instead of over $6 a gallon like now. Even if we just look at Senator Scott's state of South Carolina, the state he proudly represents, the average price of gas there is about $3.90 a gallon. It was $3.65 a month ago. Meanwhile, a year ago, it was $2.83, more than $1 cheaper. Now, to bend over backwards, to be fair to the senator, we did find this one little nugget in the data. It does appear that the price of diesel in South Carolina is down slightly from the highest ever recorded average, which it hit 3 weeks ago, thanks to Donald Trump. But, come on, Senator. As petroleum analyst Patrick DeHaan points out today, the price of gas is up in every single state compared to a week ago. In fact, he says prices are going up so rapidly that the algorithms he uses to track them are having trouble keeping up. In fact, I'm going to talk to him about that in just a moment. So while there might be some small fluctuations day to day, it is simply wrong to say that gas prices are down. That's not even spin, right? It's just a lie. Even the very Trump-friendly CNBC host, Joe Kiernan, wouldn't let the Republican majority leader get away with lying about gas prices.
People that will remember, you go back 2 years ago, we were paying almost $6 a gallon for gasoline. Right now it's in the threes. Obviously, we've seen a jump with the Iran conflict.
When were we paying $6?
Still 50.
Well,
2.5 years ago.
I don't think we were. That wasn't the average price.
Where we are now, we're over 30% below where we were just 2 years ago. Today, we are 30% below where we were 2 years ago.
You must have been on vacation in California. I think 2 years ago, in April of 2024, we were at about $3.65. So we're actually above where we were then.
Yes, thank you. Now, there are ways one could spin the Trump economy in a positive light. You know, there is a difference about spinning and lying, right? And spinning is part of politics. I mean, you could, there's good faith spinning. You could talk about the stock market, which has been going up. You could talk about massive and spiking business investment, which we saw in some of the numbers that came out today. That's real. That's happening. But if your message going into the midterms is to just plainly lie to people's faces on camera, right in front of them, about gas prices, the price that they see every day driving around, I think voters are going to laugh you out of office. I mean, even Trump is simply trying to sort of kick the can down the road.
The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down.
It's also not really true. Gas prices rise quickly, but they often take a long time to go down. Plus, again, as we've covered now for 2 months, Trump has absolutely no plan to end the war. He can't even articulate what the strategic end he's trying to meet is. It changes every day. And just last week, remember, he said he's no rush at all. His new big thing is he's going to blockade the blockade. Then today, they're trying to get a coalition of willing to unblockade it. If you're a Republican running for office in November, and I suspect a few of you do watch this program, I would just say, I would not hope for an assist from Donald Trump. Especially because, and I think this is important, I would estimate he spends right now conservatively about 90% of his waking moments thinking about his ballroom.
In light of today's Supreme Court ruling on the Voting Rights Act, do you want Republican states in the South to look at redrawing congressional districts before the midterms?
You have to tell me, when did the ruling come out? I've been with the astronauts. I've been with contractors because we're trying to get the ballroom built ahead of schedule. It's right on schedule. It's ahead of schedule now. I want to keep it that way.
There's been some talks about changes to your security after what took place.
Changing my security.
Changing your security after what took place.
Well, they did a pretty good job, actually. You know, they stopped the NFL running back. I mean, he was like a running back. In fact, if he ever got out, they're probably going to sign him. It's a pretty tough situation. Now, right outside, we have something that's on time, on budget, actually ahead of time, and ahead of budget depending on finishes. You know, finishes is a big difference between marble and onyx in price, but it's right on budget, right on time.
Do you see how, like, he go and then he comes back to the ballroom? And a question pulls him this way, but he comes back to the ballroom. Oh, there was an attempt on your life, very scary. True, there was. Let's talk about the ballroom finishes. For what it's worth, the ballroom, the thing they're pivoting to, the things he's obsessed with, the thing that every Republican now wants to talk about as the central priority for America in the year of our Lord 2026, that ballroom is also very unpopular. Who'd have thunk it? Voters are actually against it 2-1 in the latest polling. Donald Trump doesn't care. He is literally measuring the golden drapes for his ballroom. I'm sure he's actually talked to the contractor about finishes for those. Instead of, for instance, trying to lower gas prices. And I don't think voters are going to let Republicans off the hook for it.
It wasn't this high before he became president, man. Gas was $3-something. Barely $3. Now it's $4. You know, it's... He don't need to be talking about ballrooms, man. You need to be trying to fix the economy. Better yet, you just need to retire and let J.D. Vance. Let somebody else run the country.
Well, that's one vote for J.D. Vance. My next guest has been tracking the shifts in gas prices closer than just about anyone in America. Patrick DeHaan is the head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy. And Patrick, it's great to have you in the program. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
I've been following your posting, and I was like, oh man, this guy he's trained for 20 years for this moment, because we have seen really over the last few days, particularly some pretty unprecedented volatility, particularly upwards volatility in prices. What's been going on?
Yeah, Chris, it's not very often that you see this amount of volatility in the market, but that's exactly what we've been seeing here over the last couple of days. Oil prices surging to $108 a barrel. A lot of this really developments from the Strait of Hormuz. The president extending a blockade on the Strait, and that is reacting in oil markets. Oil markets obviously don't like that we've been at this for 8 weeks. That's why the price of oil is higher. 20 million barrels would normally flow through the Strait of Hormuz on a daily basis. So that we've been at this now some 60 days, we're now at a point where 1 billion barrels of oil have not flown through the Strait. And that's why you and I are paying far more at the pump. And in fact, on top of that, we have the normal seasonal trends that are really causing a lot of pain, especially in areas of the Great Lakes, where gas prices just in the last 24 hours have gone up by over $1 a gallon.
See, okay, I don't actually understand why why has the price of gas in the Great Lakes gone up $1 in the last 24 hours?
Well, a lot of that certainly has to do with, as I mentioned, the price of oil surging this week on the outlook. That doesn't look very good anymore. 2 weeks ago, it was certainly a little bit more of a happy market. Oil prices had been plummeting because of ceasefire. The U.S. and Iran were saying the same things. But now that party's over, the U.S. and the Iran regime not saying anything really similar, and Trump digging the boots in to keep the Strait of Hormuz blocked for longer to choke off Iran's oil to the global market, thus continuing to put upward pressure on oil prices. That, coupled with some of the seasonal theatrics across the country, namely the changeover to summer gasoline, refineries that are undergoing maintenance before the summer driving season, and that's where you get your fireworks through the Great Lakes. But everyone, all 50 states, are seeing some measure of pain, but that pain certainly much more acute in 5 Great Lakes states, at least for now.
One of the arguments I've seen, I think the president and some of his allies try to make is, we're now a net exporter over the past week of oil and gas. We've got all these ships that have been coming to the U.S. to load up with our oil because they can get to Asia if they take it from us. And I think some of that's true. I think it's going to be hugely beneficial to American oil companies, or American fossil fuel companies. But that doesn't help the pricing, right?
Well, it's certainly right. When you start to see 100 million barrels of oil, and by the way, the EIA, to be exact on this, said that U.S. exports in the last 7 days amounted to 99.2 million barrels. When you have that amount of oil, refined products like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel flowing out of the United States, it's terrific for refiners and oil companies, and it's not so terrific for consumers watching our supplies sail out of the United States.